Welcome back, everybody, to the Rock and Blues Experience. And coming up on this edition of the show, we're going to be talking to Dylan Turner and Megan Kane from Parker Barrow, who are gearing up for a significant year with the release of the follow-up to that debut album, Jukebox Gypsies, which plunged them straight into the spotlight following what were universally glowing reviews from across the whole media spectrum, and included in a heavy year of live dates. There is coming up a first trip to the UK this summer. First up, there's somebody who has just left these shores, leaving behind the memories of some unforgettable live performances. I'm talking about Joe Bonamassa and his band. And for those of you who missed out this time round, here's a taste of what you missed.
That we're going to play seems to be one of the most requested songs that we do, and for some reason if we don't play it, the internets, people get on the internets right off the bat in their seats and register their complaints and indignation for us not playing it, even though we've played this fucking song at least 2,000 times. But it must be so good and enriching to others' lives that people cannot get enough. So I'm going to close this show the same way I closed the Albert Hall show in 2009. With a song about a rock and a clock.
Joe Bonamassa and his band in Cardiff. That was on a really exceptional night. And the good news keeps on flowing, doesn't it? Because there is a new studio album coming this summer. It is called Breakthrough, and it is out on July the 18th. Back to today's guest, Parker Barrow, this electrifying band from Nashville who managed to fuse southern rock with blues, a bit of country and Americana, a little bit of funk, and plenty of rock to produce music that is instantly memorable. Jukebox Gypsies was as good a debut as any this millennium, and there is more on the way as well. A new album is scheduled for release later on this year. 2 tracks have already been released. The most recent in the last couple of weeks, called Make It. You might well have seen the video on YouTube. It's been watched so far close to 300,000 times already. Now, I met up with Dylan and Megan this week to talk about the journey, where it all began, and where they're heading. So let's get a little bit of the backstory about how you got into music in the first place. Dylan, you had the rock and roll bug from very early on in your life, playing the drums as a 5-year-old kid with your dad alongside you, playing to Simple Man, I think it was. So was this a musical household?
Very much so. I grew up around a ton of music. My pops owned a coffee shop that was later renovated into a small, 100-seater music venue.
Wow.
So I spent most of my Fridays and Saturdays as a kid there, learning how all the sound stuff worked and running cables and meeting musicians from all over, the Mid-Atlantic area, and had a ton of experience as a young kid getting to see some really, really good live music. So very much a musical household. I was kind of engulfed in it from day one. So I'm very thankful and very blessed to have grown up in a house like that.
And your musical tastes early on, I mean, you talk about you're listening to the Allman Brothers, Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones. I mean, this sounds like your parents' record and CD collection here. So were you sort of diving in there and, taking out their stuff, as opposed to, because we consider when you were growing up, I mean, this is 30, 40-year-old music.
Yeah.
So is this where you got your interest from?
I'll be honest with you. Another aspect of it was my dad had a band, and
right.
It was they did a lot of like the classic rock cover music, and that's really where I heard a lot of these songs for the first time. Was their band, a bunch of guys that got together and just played the songs they remembered hearing them 30 years ago. And so that was my first taste to a lot of this music. And then it wasn't until several years later where, when streaming and some of that stuff where, with the iPod and all of that, like where I got my hands on the original versions of these songs and almost had to learn them over again. Some of them I was like, I like the way my dad's band played it better. But it was cool to get to rediscover all that music again in a totally different way. And I think it definitely has a lot to do with the way that I approach music, is because I learned it one way once and then rediscovered it again later on.
Yeah, sure. So Megan, you're grown up in Birmingham in Alabama, which, by the way, I don't know whether you knew this, is twinned with Liverpool in the UK. So, they do these twin towns. So it's twinned with Liverpool, which of course is the home of the Beatles.
Wow, yeah. So, I did not know that. That's crazy. That's awesome.
So, I mean, Birmingham, Alabama's produced some very, very notable singers over the years. Emmylou Harris, for one. And your music, what you were listening to when you were growing up, was all of these classic country artists, etc. So, again, was your house a musical house? Were your parents big music fans?
So my mom's an 80s girl. She loves like all of that hair band. That was her college years, and she loved that music. My dad, however, he was a songwriter, and so he always was playing his guitar around the house and singing songs and writing songs. And so he kind of like showed me the basic chords of on a guitar. And I mean, whenever you're young and you only have what you are exposed to. His whole thing was Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and all that. So that's kind of what I grew up on, is the songwriting aspect of country music, and I fell in love with that from a very, very young age. I started playing guitar around like 11 or 12, and then I started writing songs almost immediately after I picked up a guitar. So it wasn't music.
Have you still got any of those early songs that you wrote? Do you still keep them in a diary?
They're out there somewhere, and I hope that maybe they'll just float off into the little interweb outer space somewhere. But I'm sure the internet's forever, so I don't know. But I was very young, and I wrote some music back then that's very different from our music today. But definitely part of the story, definitely part of my path in this whole thing. So yeah.
So those tastes of yours changed when you went out on this road trip, didn't you?
Yeah.
From Birmingham to Nashville when you're 15, 16 years of age.
Yeah.
This was to catch your first live show. Now, first of all, this is about 190 miles away. This is a long way away. Did your parents know you'd gone out to this live gig?
My parents knew from as early as I could talk that I was going to Nashville. That was kind of always my goal, my dream, what I was going to do. And thankfully my parents encouraged my headstrong attitude of I'm going to go.
Who did you see when you got there? Because this was your first live gig.
So when we came up, actually my mom did take me to my first show in Nashville. We saw a buddy of the family. They were called John and Jacob back then. Now they're called the Brummies. And they were kind of this duo that did like some horns and so it was kind of like, it's hard to label them, but it was they
were kind of like the Beatles a little bit, like a lot of harmonies and, 5-piece band and nice melodies, kind of a softer rock vibe, but very cool band.
But it was cool to see someone that I kind of knew from back in the day doing what, like someone from my town, like seeing someone that I grew up with chasing their dream and being successful at it on stage in front of like 500 or 600 people was so eye-opening to me. And I was like, that's it. That's it. That's all I want to do.
So tell me, when did you actually realize properly, right, that you actually had this voice? I mean, everybody thinks they can sing. Yeah, everybody's done the bit in the mirror with the hairbrush. And, everybody's done that, including me.
I'm not sure she even realizes it now half the time.
I mean, it's, like I always was singing, whether it was good or bad or whatever. I was always singing and I always wanted to. And for me, like, I just sang as much as I possibly could and hoped I got better as time got on. And I think, I mean, it's still, there's so many voices out there that are so incredible that like I bow down to every day, because it's just like, it's hard to really look at yourself like that ever. So, yeah.
Be a voice that leaves an impact on those who hear it. That's one of your quotes. I think you said that.
Did I?
So, well, unless it came from somewhere else, but I definitely saw you said that in the past, and it sort of sums you up perfectly, really, because there's nobody that will listen to you that doesn't actually walk away and go, "Wow, that's something else." Yeah, I mean, you've only got to look at the reaction that you have when people talk to you, people hear you for the first time. So it's perfectly, it perfectly sums it up. Now, Parker Barrow are a young band in their present guise, but Dylan, you've been around a good while, what, 10 years or so in, you've done country bands, you've done rock bands. So, I mean, you've been right in there at the beginning, working your, what is it they say, working your tail off to get in, to get into the position that you're in today. So, people that come to see you, you are not an industry novice, are you?
Well, there's so many directions you can go in the music industry, and where my passion has always lied was the live show. I've always just been, for lack of better words, addicted to live music, playing live music, seeing live music. And I set out from really about the time that I could drive, driving up and down the East Coast, trying to find places to play and learning how to book bands. And that started with a lot of bands. That started with open mics where you're just going and trying to find a place and make connections and meet people, and that turned into the bar scene. And we did that for years, just booking our own shows all over the country and whatever bars would take us. And thankfully we've been blessed with great management and a great booking agency, Wanted Management and Intrepid Artists International, that over the last 6 months to a year have taken over the booking and doing some of that stuff that I came up doing for so long. But it's been a crazy journey that I'm super thankful for every little bit and piece of it. Each thing has led us to the next, and as long as that keeps happening and God keeps opening doors for us, we're going to keep trying to walk through them and make our dream come true. So
the getting together of you two, you're in Nashville, you're putting a band together, and you send Megan a DM.
Yep.
Now, it is curious then that you'd not heard her sing before.
Never.
So at the time, were you actually looking for a singer or a girlfriend?
So it's funny. I had a singer in my band that quit 2 weeks, maybe even less than that, after I met her. And at the time I was in a relationship. So I certainly was not actively seeking a girlfriend, but I sure did need a singer real bad. And it just, life goes the way that it does. And like I said, I'm very thankful for every bit and piece of it, because sometimes our plans are not the plans that are out there in the universe for us. And the way that life has gone since I met Megan has just been incredible, and we're very thankful for that chance encounter where we stumbled upon each other. And I think a lot of our relationship has been the two of us finding ways to get through the flames, and it just makes us stronger each time. And it started that way, it's progressed that way. Even these last couple weeks, we had an RV that we tore in, we wrecked. The transmission fell out of our van, and then we're borrowing this giant bus that nobody knows how to drive, and the brakes went out on it this past week. So it's always always something going on, but the fact that we have each other to get through it, it always makes us better. It makes us stronger, and like I said, we're very thankful for it.
So go on then, Megan. What did you think? You sat there wherever you were, and this DM pings on your phone, and you pick it up and you look at it, and what was your reaction?
So I've kind of always, especially in my early 20s, which I think I had just turned 21. It was the first night I went out legally in a bar when I had turned 21. It was when I met him, and then I was when I moved to Nashville by myself, I started nannying a lot, and I was sitting there with the kids I was nannying, and I've been very impulsive my whole life. I kind of just I think you kind of have to have a little bit of that no fear mentality in this business and in this world. And first thing I did was call my mom, and I told her what I was gonna do, and that, which at the time was get in a van with a stranger and drive 14 hours to Delaware and play a couple shows and come back. And she said, "Okay, give me his number and give me his location, and I'll I'll make sure you make it safe.
I think she asked for my parents' numbers.
She did. I think she asked for his parents' numbers. Looked him up on Facebook, did a little mom research on him, and really it was a no-brainer. I was at that point, and still the way that we both approach this business is we take every opportunity we can possibly get, and you just can't say no. It's like you have to take it as it comes and just hope for the best, and that's what we did, and I think it worked out well for the both of us. I wouldn't encourage any kids though to get in bands with strangers. Though it was a one-time thing, your luck might not be as good.
Yeah.
So, rather than on the run from the police, you're on the run to capture the rock and roll dream. So Parker Barrow, the project, there was 81 Run before that as well.
Man,
you
did your research there.
I'm impressed.
What was the story with 81 Run? Because that was when you went out, you were together first time. So what...
Yep, that was the band that I had put together where the singer had quit, and
Right.
I grew up in Maryland, and like Megan, I found myself. I migrated towards Nashville. That was never like for her, it was a big goal. I kind of just found myself here, and when I first moved down here, I was still traveling back to Maryland a bunch, and basically every week, twice a week, I was driving back and forth 10 or 12 hours, and the majority of that time is spent on Interstate 81. So going back and forth, playing shows, and I do a lot of the writing stuff while I'm driving and on the road, and just was kind of inspired by, it's a beautiful drive, through the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I was just spending so much time there, and it just kind of felt natural to name the band after that trek that we were making every week. So it was the 81 Run, and it was that until I met Megan, and when we met, it was very obvious early on that like we had a very deep, genuine connection, and we wanted to make sure that the band represented that, the name, the brand, everything about it, because I think that is a big part of what makes all of this possible for us, is that we do have a genuine connection. We love what we do. We love getting to do it with each other. And we just wanted that to be reflected in everything we're doing. Because, again, it's such a blessing to get to do what you love with the person
Absolutely.
you love. So, yeah.
So Parker Barrow, I mean, we know now, it's to do with Bonnie and Clyde, but who came up with the idea then, and the concept of this? I mean, we look back, there's been a few. I mean, we've had the James Gang, obviously, but was this something that just came to you, or were you thinking, what was that famous quote from Bonnie and Clyde? It was, "This is the plan. There's no plan B, and they'll remember me forever."
Yep. Yep. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually my dad that thought of it at first. I think he might have like had the TV on in one of those Bonnie and Clyde movies. I forget which one, but one of those ones that kind of tells that story was on, and I think it just kind of clicked. And we batted around a couple different ideas of like how to make it work, but Parker Barrow. At first, it was Parker Barrow Project. That was kind of the way that it rolled off the tongue best. And you say something a million times, you say it enough that it starts to sound right and sound good. So
Yeah.
we just we were just said it every chance we could get to make sure it was like what we wanted to do. And we also thought about like the cool stuff that could come with the branding and with everything that's tied to Bonnie and Clyde, and some of the images we can use. I remember we did a photo shoot where we kind of reenacted some of the famous pictures. Like if you Google Bonnie and Clyde, the first 5 pictures that'll come up, we tried to recreate those. And so it's a lot of fun for us. It's we get to kind of play these roles in a way, I guess. One note is I'm not Parker and he's not Parker, and there is no one named Parker Barrow.
There's no one named Parker Barrow and Parker Barrow. It is a band name.
Yeah.
Because that is one thing that I think as people are starting to come to our shows and get to know us, like, Parker!
Yeah.
Parker! And it's like, that's
not our name.
So that is a PSA to everybody.
So at a time then when most people are looking for this quick route to success. You went about it the old school way, which was get the RV, hit the road, tour until you couldn't tour anymore. I mean, it's quite phenomenal to think that you've done over 600 shows. I mean, it's an incredible work rate in such a vast country with the amount of travel, and you put together an album and, you know, trying to have a life together. I mean, it's an incredible testimony to your work ethic.
Thank you. Yeah, for us, it's always been about the road. Like, I think, like, you know, you go out there and you're faced with so many variables and stuff that you can't control. And I do think that for us, at least the way that we have always approached it, maybe it comes from our family and the way we've seen them fight for the life that they have. We know that there's maybe an easier route, I guess. But for us, I don't think that without the experiences, we would ever be prepared for the more. And I think even to this day, as of like 24 hours ago, you can be at like the lowest of the lows, but every single time when you get like that brief sense of a high, like it makes it so much worth it, like so much more worth it, especially like with our band and everyone we have involved right now. It has been a true blessing to be able to see and recollect all the stuff we've been through as a band, and the fact that we still are out here doing it. I do think that, you know, like I wouldn't like, it's how we've always felt right about this. Like, I don't think if we were to get on a Grammy stage and we hadn't have earned it, I don't think we would enjoy that. Like, I think if maybe one day we make it there, we can look back at all these stories and be like, that's what got us here. Yeah. And I hope that one day we'll get to tell that part of the story. But for now, we have a lot of other stories that we can tell.
It's testimony as well to the strength of your relationship between the two of you, because if you consider what working and living in such proximity does to people, I mean, usually that close of proximity, you're with each other 24 hours a day, is enough to, you know, last not very long in the real world. But again, your relationship and your working relationship just blossomed.
Yeah, in 7 years, we'll be married for 2 years in May. But in the 7 years we've been together, I think we've spent 2 weeks apart. Some people call it codependency. Yeah. But I do think, we genuinely are best friends. We have done more than just music. We've worked in construction together. We've worked in other businesses together, and that's how we love to spend our life, is together with our dog Sadie and with
Sadie
our best
May.
Sadie May. Yeah. Oh, she just put her ears up.
She's like, "What? Who's talking about me?"
She heard you. But yeah, you really can't beat it.
So you're unequivocal about what the band is, where the priorities lie. The live show is what we live for. This is where the passion lies. This is it. It's all about the live, not the studio. It's the live.
100%. Yeah, we love the studio too. We have an amazing producer that we've been blessed to work with on our record Jukebox Gypsies, and then this new record that we're working on as well. And we enjoy Stephen McKnight. Yeah, we enjoy that time so much. But really, the thing that led us to that aspect of the music was needing to grow the live show, make it bigger, make it more pronounced. And with that, for the longest time, it had just been Megan and I that were really digging in and trying to sculpt that show and make it what we want. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we met our guitar player Alex Bender, who's been with us, and he's been super influential in this new version of our show that we'll be bringing to the UK and to Europe this year. So the three of us have been working really hard on just kind of tailoring that show and making sure that we have all the pieces that you need to tell a good story. And that's the big thing, is like with anything, if you can tell a story that goes a long way. If you can make somebody feel something and get your point across, it goes a long way. So that's what it is for us. It's that, like, intimate connection with the crowd, them making us feel something, us then, pouring that energy back to the other side of the stage. And you just get this, like, this ball of, like, emotion and energy that's just growing and growing and growing. And finally it explodes in the room. And it's just like, there's no greater feeling than that. So we love it.
The debut album, Jukebox Gypsy, is the story of that 4-year period. The meets, the touring, etc., etc. The construction of the songs, primarily you're working on the lyrical content, Dylan, and you summed it up quite well. It was we, as in the band, and you draw the picture, and it's over to Megan there to paint the picture.
Yeah, we always say, I musically, I'm only so inclined. A lot of what I do in the band is based off of emotion and feel. Mm-hmm. So I do my best to get the emotions out and just have a basic sketch of what's in my mind. That's about as far as I can get it by myself. And then with our producer and with Alex, they're really able to refine that sketch, color it in, make it beautiful. And then when Megan sings on it, that's always what brings these tracks to life and what takes it from something on paper to like feeling as if it's a living, breathing thing in this world. So it's a great team we have. We work, so well together, and 99.999% of the time we're all on the same page, trying to get right to that same spot, and we always seem to be able to get there once she puts her voice on it. So it's a cool way we go about doing it, and it's always fun. And then to get to take this stuff that we write and produce and play it out on the road and see the reactions we get, it's really cool. We enjoy it.
Steve McKnight is an interesting character because he's got a very, very wide range of experience across the whole musical spectrum, everything from commercials to music and the studios, but thermal studios. And I did like his profile quote, which was, "I like whiskey and wit."
Yeah. He is a witty guy too. He'll make you laugh. Yeah. He'll make you laugh.
Right, that album, by the way, so just a bit about Jukebox Gypsies. Sunshine of Your Love, whose idea was it to cover that? Because it's a great version, by the way, I've got to say. Yeah. Usually people see that there's a cover version in there and they'll be automatically drawn to it to see how badly it's been done.
Yeah.
But it was a really good version, I thought. Really modern feel to it. It was great. So, whose idea?
So at the time when we were recording Jukebox Gypsies, we were trying to fit in some more covers to our live show. We were doing some some more like bar type stuff or some like fraternity events, and we had a list. And Steven was like, "Let me see the list of the covers that y'all do, and see what we can do that's not something that everybody's done or that's been done a million times. Or it's very important when you're doing a cover that you respect the cover and you respect the song in itself, and you pay homage to them, but also make it your own." And Steven has been in many bands over the past, however long he's been doing music. And he had seen that we weren't even playing Sunshine of Your Love live at all.
It was just, we had just added it, like, let's learn this one.
Let's maybe learn that. And he had actually had one
of his previous bands, they had done a version of it. So he was like, "Man, I haven't done this in years, but we love doing it." And so it was like, I think he actually even had some of the guys from that old band come over and they kind of jammed it out and figured it out again. And, we did some things to freshen it up a bit. And
just shows a bit of imagination, because normally people would go, "Oh, well, let's do a whole lot of love." And you're like, and not as well, And, it takes it to be. I mean, I always remember hearing when Van Halen did their version of Pretty Woman. And they also did a version of "You Really Got Me" by the Kinks.
Yeah.
And Ray Davies always said what irritates him more than ever was when he said, when people say talking to him about doing that Van Halen cover, that
Yeah.
you drew.
Well, there's so many bands that have like kind of launched their, even like, the Black Crowes for us, that's one of our favorites, and that Hard to Handle cover, there's so many bands that kind of catapult themselves into the scene with something like that that's familiar, that I mean, and most of Zeppelin, all of that was covers,
Mm-hmm.
it was borrowed. So but yeah, it's an interesting aspect of the whole thing. I think it's cool to do covers, and if you can make it your own, and like Megan said, still pay homage to the guys that came before us. It's interesting. I always like to hear bands that do covers, and it's a way to be original, but also kind of let people know where your originality comes from, and the things that have influenced you.
There is a trick here because everybody is quick to point to your influences, the Black Crowes, et cetera, when listening to Jukebox Gypsies. But the industry is littered with bands that got a bit too close to copying their heroes. Yeah. And you've been very careful, as you said, to be aware of your influences and to produce something new. And the simple goal, to be true to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for us, like, obviously, you are a product of your raising and what we all grew up on musically. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with, pulling from stuff that made you feel something emotionally and creating something new from that. It is always important for us to look at our songs and make sure that we are safe, but also that, like it is fresh, it is new, and it does come from a place of, all of our brains. I think it's because we come from such different backgrounds, all working together to find a way to make a new pie, a new pot of music.
Well, even though you're on to album 2, Jukebox Gypsies is still being talked about. And as far as debut albums go, I mean, some people spend a career trying to put together what you did here with this. I mean, your vocals were quite extraordinary. And at times you've talked about being on this vocal journey, singing what you feel. I mean, it sounds very easy, but there are moments on that album, in particular on that track, Desire, where your performance might even have surprised you. When you finished it, you're like, wow.
Yeah,
that is good.
It comes a lot from the encouragement of Dill and also the encouragement of our producer. That when you're in the vocal booth, it's such a vulnerable spot to be, and you're just exposed completely. And for me, I never really, like, there's a lot of vocalists out there that can do a lot of things that I cannot do. And I'm very much aware of that. So for me, it is a humbling experience to go in there and have the encouragement of both of them and now Alex, to where I'm not afraid to try stuff. And I do think that, like, fear is the ultimate enemy of any singer or anyone in the music industry. And when I'm in that vocal booth, I know that I can try anything, and it will at least be told yes or no. And sometimes it works. And with Desire in particular, I can still go back to that exact moment and that exact memory and feel that emotion of being able to feel like I pushed myself and it worked. And it doesn't always, trust me, it don't always work. There's probably video evidence a lot of places where it doesn't work, but I do think that you do have to try things. And I mean, what are you in music if you're not testing the limits and pushing the lines and trying to always grow and expand?
What does it mean to you? What does it make you feel when you see people write things like, well, it's a cross between Warren Haynes and Janis Joplin, it's Tina Turner, it's Chris Robinson. I mean, there's all these amazing singers.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
But when you're singing it, can you actually hear those voices? you know, as you're singing something, if you've just read that, people think I sound like Tina Turner.
Yeah.
And then you're singing and you think, yeah, I can hear this.
So I've never been able to when you're so objective with yourself of there's absolutely no way I sit in the same room as those people. I'm very honored that those compliments have been given. But when I'm singing, I think that's been my biggest issue with it all is that I haven't been able to pinpoint who I can sound like, and I do think that has been like a big thing for me of I have nothing to really go off of. I know people that I love their voices. I think Chris Robinson's the pinnacle of singers. I think his ability to tap into places rhythmically and emotionally and be able to bring that to life, whether he's saying all the right words or none of the right words, he still makes you feel something. And Warren Haynes is one of those as well, where it's just man, whatever they're doing, you can feel it. And I think that's rather than trying to sound like anyone else, I try and pull from that side of things of whatever it is I'm doing, I just hope that someone else can feel it too. And
well, I'll tell you who immediately came to mind while I was listening to Desire. Mm-hmm. It was the Four Non-Blondes.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, we done their song "What's Up" before.
Yeah, we used to play that one at Box back in the day.
Great band.
It is such a broad spectrum of the people I get compared to. That's why it's I don't know. So,
has anybody ever said to you, I think you sound like so and so, and you just think, well, that's a bit of an insult?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's happened before. I mean, everyone has their own way of singing. For me, it's more it's hard. Comparisons are always hard.
You look after your voice.
I do.
You really look after your voice, don't you? I mean, yes. You do all the voice, the steam treatments.
Yeah.
Plenty of hot tea and
hot tea. I think it was
Dylan who said that you drink more water than anybody else I know.
Yeah.
And you avoid alcohol. Now, I mean, I'm not being funny. 3 years on the road, how does that work?
So, I mean, for me, so the way that I treat it is the way that I watch a lot of stuff from Broadway singers and the way that they handle their voice, and they are I never want to compromise our show because of my own misdoings, just stuff I can control, and I have learned over the past years that I can go without alcohol to have a good time, or I can go without certain things. I can, get sleep early one night, and there's just stuff that, it's like any job where you may make some compromises or sacrifices to do it to your best ability. And to me and to all of us, the priorities, the show, if we're not committing everything every second to making this work for us, then why are we doing it? So if all I have to do is drink a gallon of water, which I probably should be doing anyways, or having some hot tea, or there's always outside circumstances of the weather and things you can't control, but if I'm not doing everything I can in my control, that just hurts the band, and that's not really fair to them, because if I can't sing, we can't play, and then that's 6 lives that I'm responsible for because of my actions. So yes, I'm very much I gotta take care of myself. Now, when we have 2 weeks off, I'll have a couple drinks, but I'm not when we're touring, unless it's the last night. I'm not letting loose like that. I kind of keep it kosher.
Big year then for you this year. I mean, it really is. I mean, you've got 2 tracks off the new album already out. The response has been globally extremely positive. Everywhere you've seen anybody write anything about it, it's always very upbeat, very positive. Clearly loving what you do. Looking at the production values on things like the videos, Keith and the guy that was involved with Carrie Underwood, and Willie Nelson. You've got a top producer in there. So there's a really polished professional feel to that as well. So what is the plan for the rest of the year? You've whetted the appetite. When's the new album going to be ready? What's the title? Did I miss the title, or have you not released the title?
We have not released the title yet. It's coming very, very soon.
I think we did.
We haven't released the title yet.
Are you sure?
It's album coming later this year.
Okay.
So we got a couple things we need to just cross our T's and dot our I's in the studio over the coming weeks, and once we kind of have it in a place where we know it's ready, then we'll get into releasing a date and the title and all that. But I will tell you, there will be a couple more singles coming. There will probably be an EP to kind of just get like a cumulative piece with prior to the record coming out. But we're just trying to make sure we got everything where we want it before we always feel like we're catching up to these things with releases and stuff. It's
what do you think is the main difference of this album over the last one? When you sit down and you listen to it, you've obviously completed it, so you've sat and listened to it. How have you evolved as a band? How has your sound evolved? How much is there more maturity about specific aspects of it?
Yeah, I think we definitely learned a ton making our first record. Just how to be in the studio, how to be successful, and there was just a lot of things that we were able to take in and apply to this next one. And then again, another big thing was having our guitar player Alex involved in writing this one. So bringing a new mind to the table definitely, automatically kind of kicks things into a new gear. And I think with him on board, it's given us time where instead of really I play a very little bit of guitar, just basic chords, just enough to get a basic melody. But having him here with us, we're able to work basically around the clock. We can make a lot of demos and stuff, and we're bringing in pieces that are closer to being finished into the studio to start with than we were last time. So I think it's allowed us more time to be creative in the studio and build on a solid foundation. And because of that, I think we're getting closer and closer with each track to the sound that we're hearing in our heads and want to put out into the world. So there's a lot of variables, but all of them have made it so we were able to create a whole new sound without reinventing the wheel, but just kind of adding elements and sounds and frequencies and different things to make this one sound new, but still kind of capture that same energy and essence as Jukebox Gypsies.
You're heading to the UK in July. You've got 3 days lined up there, including the Made of Stone Festival at Moat Park. Now, there's a fantastic lineup here. Blackstone, Cherry, Dirty Honey, Giant Short Taylor's on it. Rosalie Cunningham. I don't know if you know Rosalie Cunningham, but she is definitely worth checking out. The Georgia Thunderbolts, Michael Schenker. So there's a real mix of some very classic and the new. So how much are you looking forward to coming to the home of where it all began?
so excited. It is insane to even really think about. It's kind of, I'm not a flyer, so that I'm just gonna take that out of the equation. I'm gonna take some nighttime pills and go to sleep for that, right? But for us, ever since we started, it's like we gotta go to Europe. It's gotta be, whether it's the last thing we do, we gotta go. We gotta get there. Everyone we meet throughout, who are in this business and do music and everything, they're you gotta go over there. It's so much different. The crowds are so much different. The people, it's just all, you just got to do it. Some friends of ours that we've met through our agency, Robert John the Wreck,
how many times? I mean, they're over every 6 months.
Every 6 months, and they rave about y'all over there.
I think they're over there right now.
They're over there right now. Yeah. So they have sang y'all's praises, and we're just excited to cross that pond because it's been a while.
Is there anything specific about the culture, the British culture, that you're looking forward to, maybe?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard just the excitement for music over there.
Yeah, that's true. There is a lot.
we definitely here in the States, there are pockets where, we'll find people who are just so passionate about music, and there's some great people in our lives right now that have come and seen us in several different states and will travel. And from what we've heard over there, it just seems like the majority of people are into the style of music we play. Like maybe over here in the States, most people are more into pop music.
Yeah.
But we've just heard so many things about the excitement and the passion towards live music, and especially rock and roll and Southern rock.
I remember when Blackstone Cherry first rocked up over here, must be about 15, 16 years ago, and they turned up with Rival Sons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, people are like, this is fantastic. And ever since then, you've talked about Robert John on the Wreck, Damn Truth, Bywater Call. I mean, there's just this long list of bands that come over, and people are going out to watch. But you appeared as a 9-piece last year, didn't you? I think it was the Atwood Festival where you have backing singers and the whole works.
Yeah.
So what is the traveling makeup of the band then? Because you're obviously not going to bring a 9-piece over it.
No.
Yeah, we try to do that as often as we can. As often as we can afford it, really. We'll bring out the big band, as we call it, but we'll be coming over with just our basic 6-piece. So that's
6-piece.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
Still. Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, the live show, that's our whole thing, and we love making it as big as possible. And that's what we'll be able to bring over for this. We have an amazing keys player, Eric Safka, does all the B3, does, the piano, everything. Our bass player, Bo Howard, our guitar player, Will Tipton, obviously Alex Bender, Megan, and myself.
Yeah.
So we're so excited. Like, we love our band to death too. Like, they're just great guys, and it's like a family vacation for us every time we go out. So it'll be really neat for us to take a little family vacation across the pond.
The pond. I love it. And if anybody asks what to expect from your live show, I think there were you quoted this a while ago. I don't know who you said it to. You just said, in the moment, let it happen, make it fly.
Yeah.
That's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
We never know what we're doing until it happens. So.
We don't. You'd be surprised how little we know. But I do think that, energy is a big part of it. And having, just fun. We just have a lot of fun together playing music. So I hope that's what they see.
And lastly, then, whilst you're away, who's going to be looking after Sadie Mae then?
Oh, our hearts are broken. We were trying. I don't know if you've ever seen that Scooby-Doo movie where they dress Scooby-Doo up to get him on the plane. We're still scheming to see how we could maybe sneak her on. But if worse comes to worse, she will stay with my parents for a little bit. She loves her nanny and Bobo. So.
Yeah, she'll stay with them.
It's a big thing, isn't it, these days? The number of artists who've seen that. Joanne Shaw Taylor has got a dog called Hank.
Oh, nice.
If you're not too careful, people are tuning into your social networks and looking for Instagram updates, and they're like, well, hang on a minute, well, where's the dog? And she's got a great little Hank compartment on the tour bus.
Nice.
But it's a great pull to draw people in.
Yeah, it's for us. Like, I mean, she has been. I've had her. She'll be 10 next week.
2 weeks.
And I've had her since she was a puppy. And for us, like, it was the most difficult thing trying to figure out how to tour and how to have a dog on the road. But she is part of the family. She's the matriarch of this family. Everywhere we go, everyone's bringing venues will like give her some treats or give her a bone or and
people,
we're all
like we'll have people that'll bring her new collars and bandanas and everyone loves Sadie.
We had a shirt with her face on it. And it sold out in minutes.
Yeah,
first everybody
sell out when we got the new merch.
Can't blame him. I mean, she is the cutest. So.
Well, that was Megan Kane and Dylan Turner from Parker Barrow talking this week from their home in Nashville. If you're new to the band, then go and check out that debut album, Jukebox Gypsies, released a couple of summers ago. Really is a great album. And look out for the new one, which is coming soon. And it goes without saying, obviously, if you get a chance to experience them live, then do not miss it. Well, that is it for this edition of the show. Don't forget, if you want to catch up with all of the previous features and interviews, then head to the website, www.therockandbluesexperience.com, or you can find us on Facebook, or again, there's a YouTube channel. You can see stuff on TikTok and Instagram as well. Thank you again for joining me. I look forward to your company next time out. For the moment, though, from me, Tim Caple, bye-bye for now.